Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Well, I'm hoping that you're doing great from wherever you're watching me from. I'm your host and presenter Agent Stories. Well, I'm hoping that you're doing great. I want us to talk about something really important. Taking accountability is one of the most important things in human life. At least for you to solve a problem, it begins by you recognizing what the problem is. Somebody comes to me today and tells me, Eugene, you're doing A, B, C, D, and you need to stop doing it. Instead of being overly repulsive or deflecting from the things that I do, it's high chance for me to take accountability. First, by going back and scanning, what am I doing wrong? And what are the solutions I can do to at least mitigate all these problems that I'm causing? A perfect case scenario that you are going to see or you've watched from the prelude is this white man. A person recognizes a problem and then you outright, from your outburst, you just start becoming overly violent because somebody has pointed something which is wrong with some or one of your people. Instead of taking accountability, you come out and starting being derogative, right? So the inability or the outright refusal of many white individuals to take accountability for systemic racism is a recurring feature of modern social political landscape. I mean, rather than engaging with critiques of racial inequality or investigating the validity of claims made by marginalized people, some white individuals become defensive, hostile, or even violently reactive. This behavior is not isolated. This reflects deeply embedded psychological, cultural, and historical responses shaped by centuries of racial entitlement, propaganda, and reluctance to disrupt comfort. Now, this is a perfect case of what you are seeing. And as towards this video, you know very well that I'm your host and presenter Agent Stories, and I want us to just watch the video, and then I'll be coming back and having a breakdown of this concept. I'm just asking you, if you're watching me for the first time, please consider subscribing to the channel, joining our membership, and really get to see what we can offer you, because here we are going to educate, learn from each other. Especially for me, every day is always a learning day when we talk about all these concepts, when we try to understand this conflict, because white deflection is something that has been happening for the longest time in the United States. It is time for us to have this discussion so that some people who are watching this video, especially my white audience, to take accountability. Well, I know not all white folks don't take accountability. We actually have white people that take accountability. But in this video today, I'm addressing this underlying issue, which is really important. And I want us to all get to learn from this. Buckle up for this video. Again, I'm your host and presenter, Agent Stories. Please watch the video. I'll be back.
Dumb little girls, them people died because of racism, not politics.
You are the fucking definition of black fatigue. I really wish I could call you a hard R right now, because I definitely would. I would call you a hard R for sure right now. But I'm probably gonna get banned anyways because of all you fucking ignorant ass people popping up on here trying to say that a national disaster was caused because of racism, not politics. It has nothing to do with fucking politics or racism. It's just a fucking sad situation. But you want to fucking make it into race? Get the fuck out of here. Fatigue. I really wish I could call you a hard R right now, because I definitely would. I would call you...
So do it. What's stopping you, Kevin? Do it. I mean, that is your default word, isn't it, Kevin? Isn't it? You mean to tell me in front of a camera you don't have the balls that you normally have when the camera's off, Kevin? So call her that. Say it. Come on, Kevin. Just say it. What's the matter? Your comment section ain't hype you up enough, Kevin? Why are you afraid now, Kevin? Are you afraid that if you do, the consequences will happen? Well, you look like a big, strong guy, Kevin. What are you afraid of? Say it. Y'all keep thinking we're telling you not to say it. No, we're saying consequences may vary. Come on, Kevin. You want to call it a hard ER because she said that it was racism that led to these people dying and not politics. If y'all had voted for the black lady instead of the goofy white man, maybe she might be true. Who knows? But you're so mad, Kevin, that you went instantly there. That's where you instantly went to, Kevin. Instantly. She says something you don't like and you instantly go, I want to call you the hard ER. So do it. Just do it, Kevin. Let your comment section give you that Superman triple K cape. And you get a chance to say what you've always wanted to say towards black folks. But you're afraid to do it out loud in front of somebody. What happened? Did your balls drop off? You could have disputed her without even mentioning that, but that was the first thing you mentioned, Kevin. That was the first thing. I really want to call you the hard ER right now, so do it. Do it, Kevin. Do it to me, Kevin. I am in no way, shape, form, or fashion agreeing with that woman. At all. At all. But I now want you to say it to me, Kevin. Say it to me. Now, before you do, Kevin, please understand that when you call me that, the rules of the game have now changed and consequences will occur. I know people. And what I will do is take your comment or your video and I'll spread it around. Because consequences will occur. Does that mean violence? No. That could mean, does your family know you talk like that? Or maybe they do and they're the ones that encourage it. So then the whole family gets involved. Don't be scared, Kevin. Say what you really want to say, buddy. Say what you really want to say. Because there were several ways you could have dealt with this, Kevin. You could have ignored her. You could have made a comment like all the rest of these MAGA people are doing. I can't believe that you would be intolerant. But no, Kevin. No, no, no. You and that racist ass comment section of yours decided this was the hill you were going to die on. I want to call you the hard ER. So do it. So do it. That's all you got to do, Kevin. Let's let everybody know what kind of person Kevin with the K is. Don't think I didn't notice that. So do it, Kevin. Let's see how it works.
Here's a direct message from a black man to all the racist supremacists of the world. Because y'all seem to only have nuts when you're on social media talking. There's no need to jump in comments. There's no need to do all the tough internet stuff. When you see me or any of my people out in public, just pop it off if you really want an issue that bad. If you really want it to go down. There's no need to wait in the shadows for your favorite politician to give you instruction. Pop it off. I'm so sick of hearing all you supremacists, all you tyrants, all you racist individuals talk about these migrants, talk about these people like you ain't the original migrant, like you ain't the original illegal immigrant, like you ain't the original colonizer, like you ain't the original thief, like you ain't the original mass murderer, mass rapist. You're all of these things. I hear Trump talking all this deportation, and yeah, I hear all of that, but so should white people be deported? Should we treat white people the same way whites are trying to treat the migrants? Wouldn't that make sense, since that's your ideology? Since you're saying the migrants are here illegally, but you are. The European American illegally occupies indigenous land to Africans and Native Americans. So what are we talking about here? What is the selective outrage and selective hearing about this issue? Any racist. You don't like black people, you don't like Hispanics, you don't like Puerto Ricans, you don't like Asians, whatever it is, you don't like us? Pop it off. Stop talking. Y'all talk too much. You cowardly asses just sit on the internet and talk and create bot and troll accounts to troll people, and it ain't working. We don't care about you. We ain't interested in talking to you. We don't want nothing to do with you. None of us. I don't understand why y'all are so obsessed with what black people are doing. You obsessed with what Hispanics are doing. You obsessed with what the migrants are doing. You obsessed with what everybody else is doing, but yet your government don't even care about you. Let's remember, I'm the same person that said, regardless of color, a combat veteran shouldn't have to pay another bill in this country. I'm the same person that said I'm not a Republican nor a Democrat. I'm not a Blood nor a Crip. I'm not none of these things. So I speak unbiasedly. Joe Biden is an issue. Donald Trump is an issue, because the agenda that they serve together goes against the forward momentum of the people. Why is it that we still participate in the Republican and Democrat gang war? Neither side give a damn about your broke ass. But you sitting up there arguing and debating for people that just line in their pockets with corporation money. You sitting up there arguing and debating for people that's trying to figure out how to further divide you from your children and your family and your neighborhood and your community. They are trying to gain more and more control over you and your household, and you sitting up there arguing with a person that's just as broke as you about who you want them to vote for. I don't care what side you on. Both these individuals is the problem. On one hand, you got one that can't even speak a full sentence properly. And on the other hand, you got a racist with a supremacist base that's just a purebred idiot. You lose on both ends. Black people lose, white people lose, Hispanics lose, everybody loses, because guess what? Both these individuals are unqualified and incompetent. So what is this really about? Because if it's a war that y'all are trying to start in America, pop it off, bro. There's no need to do all the subliminal waiting in the shadows for a politician to tell you to do it. Pop it off. We gonna answer the door. I promise you. I promise you, once you pop it off, we gonna answer the door. We see you from a mile away because we've been dealing with you since the beginning. All of this fake outrage about the migrants, forgetting that the original migrants is you.
Look, I'm going to see my barber tomorrow. I don't really want to fucking hear it. The point of this video is MAGA has forced me to accept that a kind of human being exists whose existence I did not want to readily accept when it comes to the different types of human beings and their mindsets and their perspectives, so forth and so on. The way these motherfuckers have this odd ability to miss the fucking point until the most unbelievable moment or the most unbelievable thing causes them to see the point. And then you just have to stare at them like that. That's what made you see what everybody else has been screaming at you for months. Right now, on my For You page, there are MAGA personnel making videos, quite a bit of them, saying, hey, if Trump doesn't come out and be more transparent and upfront about this whole Epstein list, we're done with them. We're not going to support them anymore. That's where we draw the line. There are concentration camps, literally, on American soil. That didn't do it for them. Do I really need to sit here for 17.5 minutes to list all the things that should have made them question this motherfucker prior to the DOJ and Pam Bondi being like, oh, poof, no Epstein list? Now, I'm okay with it. Ashamed? Shocked? Are they still pitiful and disgusting? Of course. But at least they are finally starting to ask fucking questions. What do you mean there are literal concentration camps? You cannot look at how the fucking Holocaust started and they called it deportation centers, and then what it became known as, and all the people that died prior to people being aware that these are in fact just killing camps and not whatever they described it to be. Like, the Holocaust was a very big operation. So to see everything laid out that happened with the Holocaust and how it started off as this and ended as that, and to see the exact same things happening in America, for something in your mind outside of fucking politics, outside of I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm a conservative, I'm a liberal, outside of all that bullshit, if you can't just be disgusted at the concentration camps that are a part of American soil right now being disguised as deportation centers, the exact same bullshit veil they tried to throw over the concentration camps way back during the Holocaust, way back, used lightly, it was less than a century ago, right? We're still dealing with racism and shit for I don't know how long, but people think less than a century has passed since the Holocaust and Nazi ideology is just eradicated from the world. Come on now, come on now. But I say all this to say, y'all will fucking ignore all of that while millions and millions of Americans scream at you, hey, where's your humanity? Where's your morality? Where's your ethics? How do you call yourself a Christian? How do you support this? How did you point the finger at Kamala for this, but then ignore this about Donald Trump? Why are all of Donald Trump's cabinet members underqualified? The list goes on and on and on and on and on, but it's the fact that their choice for the president of the United States won't release a list that he's definitely a part of to confirm that he was on Epstein Island multiple times. That's when they say, hey, I can't support this anymore. Mind you, we've seen this motherfucker from 2016 to 2020 already. It just really shocks me how much is required for people to question Trump. That's why it's a fucking cult. Members of his own family have come out and said, yeah, this guy's a piece of shit. Everybody from his previous cabinet said, yeah, this guy's a piece of shit. His former vice president said, yeah, this guy's a piece of shit. I just refuse to give Mike Pence any type of respect or anything. I'm glad that he did what he did in the 2020 election debacle and shit. But again, he's in the same fucking boat. It took you, Donald Trump asking you to break the fucking law and not certify the election for you to be like, no, that's not the American way. 2016 to 2020, Mike Pence, you didn't see anything else from that motherfucker that wasn't? Okay. What I'm trying to get y'all to fucking understand. This is why even if you all do turn your back on Trump and you stop supporting him, or you stop asking questions, or you just realize how fucking stupid and blind and lied to you've been for God knows how long, at least for me, there is no fucking forgiveness. This was an open book test. I can even give you a little bit more grace if we knew all this shit about Trump, but he hadn't been the president already. But it's literally on top of everything we know and seen about this shit character of a man, right? On top of already having him for 4 years to begin with, he made y'all all these grand fucking promises in the first presidency, didn't honor them, and then now y'all are saying promises made, promises kept in the second presidency. Motherfucker, where? His whole 90 deals in 90 days thing? Where are the 90 closed deals? But it's the lack of the Epstein list and not any of the other broken promises. Like, I don't know, the fucking wall built by Mexico that he promised y'all in 2016, damn near a decade ago. That didn't make y'all, okay. I just want MAGA to understand that as they finally start to question the shit show that is the Donald Trump administration, I hope that they understand that this isn't just some magic, you're forgiven, come on over to the barbecue, the block party, everything's fine type shit. We will never forget the fact that you watched ICE do all this bullshit and be modern day Gestapo, quite literally. And that wasn't enough for you. It's just like that video going around right now. A few weeks ago, that lady was like, I'll wear alligator Alcatraz merch if I want to. You don't like Trump? Cry about it. Yada, 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 yada. And then when the tragedy with the Texas floods happened, she's on camera saying, what about us? We're human beings. Bitch, fuck you. Every immigrant that ICE kidnaps is a fucking human being too. But you see that shit and smile. But you want people to run to you in droves when your peril arrives? Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. So please, by all means, finally start asking the fuck. I can't stand when I'm recording and motherfuckers walk right up to my car. Bitch, have you heard of privacy? Whole goddamn parking lot out here, and you gotta hover around my shit. Take your ugly ass on. I apologize for my outburst. Decorum isn't always in my vicinity, but the whole point of this is to say that, sure, by all means, start questioning the cult leader and dictator that is Donald Trump and his administration. We've been asking y'all to do that shit for literal months. And then once you start questioning it and you realize that you have been fucking stupid and wrong this whole time, also understand we could have just had Kamala, okay? So don't get on here and be like, no Epstein list, let me start questioning Trump, and then expect people that...
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. Well, I'm hoping that you're doing well. I'm your host and presenter at Contextualizing. I'm going to be breaking down to you what I feel like this is important. Remember, we have professors like D'Angelo that talked about white fragility. A piece of a scratch really breaks down some of these folks. And what is it? This is just the truth, right? Now, at the root of this phenomenon is white fragility, a term which was coined by Dr. Robin D'Angelo to describe the defensiveness many white people exhibit when confronted with discussions about race or privilege. When a white person hears criticism about systemic racism, especially if it involves their community or state, they often interpret it as a personal attack rather than a social analysis. This leads to emotional reactions like anger, denial, or attempts to derail the conversation. In Florida, example, instead of investigating the claim that racism plagues the state, the man feels accused and lashes out, reinforcing the very dynamics being critiqued. Sometimes you might be talking about a problem and a person comes right in front of you and shows you that indeed that's the problem. Because instead of going back and reflecting what was really being discussed, they still go ahead and prove the point that the sister was trying to say. Right? The outburst of emotions that you're seeing in front of you, all that is happening, really should show you or really should tell you that this is what is happening. And that's how they've been doing it. I'm also going to be saying that the reaction is also tied to historical denial and racial amnesia. Many white Americans are not taught the full scope of their country's racial history. Instead, education systems often sanitize slavery, gloss over segregation, and frame racism as past event rather than present reality. When confronted with evidence that racism remains alive, especially in places like Florida, where laws are passed to restrict how race can even be discussed, some white individuals feel betrayed by the mythologized version of America. Instead of processing the truth, they double down onto false narrative of innocence and victimhood. And this is what has been happening because there is a fight of intellectualism in the United States. Things that teach people the true history are being banned. Books are being banned. Libraries are being shut down because they teach people the truth. So it's not even much easier for these people to really learn the truth and see just beyond the mythologized America, right? And see America for what it is, because every day, the United States keep on proving to people what it is. And some people don't really get to understand until it dawns to them that indeed this is something that has been happening to us. Another key factor that I'm also going to talk about is emotional conditioning and cultural programming. For generations, white America have been socialized to believe that whiteness is the default and most neutral identity. Any critique of whiteness or white supremacy is seen as aberration or radical stance. This is why someone points out systemic racism, some white individuals interpret it as anti-white or divisive. The reaction isn't about the truth. It's about protecting a perceived sense of superiority and comfort. I call upon all white folks that watches my channel because I know we have people, and I appreciate you because you trying to see all these things makes you as a person who is empathetic, a person who really understands what black folks have been explaining, right? So I call upon those of you to really get to understand that these things happen and black people are not making up all these scenarios in their head. Until something like this happens to you or happens to your daughter is when you'll get to understand this. But until then, there is this mythologized version of the United States that racism doesn't exist. Oh, that black people don't really want to work. They just want to play victimhood, just want to complain. I've seen people get into such kind of ships and still continue with that narrative because this is what they believe, or at least something that they have always been taught to counteract anything that a black person says, or at least when they are trying to hear their grievances, at least to be heard. Right. You need to understand that racism serves as a distraction from class struggle. As thinkers like We Eat Boys and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. have pointed out, elites have long used racism to divide the working class. White workers are given psychological wage of superiority over black people, which blinds them to the fact that they too are being exploited. When a white man defends a systemic racism like Florida's without recognizing how he is also a pawn of corporate and political elite, he is demonstrating a false consciousness, defending a system that doesn't actually serve his long-term interest. And this is what I really wished people to know, because people don't get this point. You're fighting against your white brother or you're fighting against your black brother without knowing that the people that are making you fighting don't really even care about you. They don't really even think about you. What they do, in fact, is they monetize the fight. They monetize the fight. And they keep you distracted from fighting all the problems that you're seeing today. One thing that really needs down to you is that what happened during election is what is a true representation of the Bacchus rebellion. Because remember, when the elites knew that when white folks and black folks could come together, they will stop all these games that they play. They make you become a pawn of their play, of their games, right? And so they created this psychological wage that you as a white person, you are greater than a black person. And then they gave you privilege. And later on, when Make America Great Again is crumbling down, now white folks are coming to realize the truth. And they are facing problems. And instead of now looking at the problems that they're facing, people start turning against each other. And again, That's how the political elites want. Until you as a white person, you open your eyes and get to know that a black person is not your enemy, that's when you'll find the solution to all these problems that are going against you. People voted emotionally to Mr. Donald Trump because they sold them a lie to believe that whiteness is great. People voted because of their culture. People didn't vote because of economics or anything. So you understand how they effed up for themselves, and that's how the political elite wants you to behave. Also gonna be saying that the misplaced loyalty is evident in the way white people often defend corporations, political parties, or ideologies that harm them. Corporations that push for deregulation, labor markets, housing discrimination, and environmental destruction don't care about white working class citizens. They don't give a damn about you. Right? Yet, when race is introduced into the conversation, many white people rally to defend these systems, not because they benefit, but because they believe doing so upholds a racial order that privileges them over people of color. This false sense of superiority becomes a surrogate for actual material security. Right? Now, one thing that I still need to understand and discuss, the N-word. Really great deductive point that I have to make in regards to this. The desire to use the N-word to express violent sentiments when challenged about racism also reveals a deep-seated desire to assert dominance. The slur itself is a tool of dehumanization, historically used to mark black people as inferior. The frustration some white individuals express over not being able to say it isn't about free speech. It's about perceived loss of cultural control. They view social progress, multiculturalism, and anti-racism as threat to their dominance, not because they're oppressed, but because they are losing an earned privilege. Right? And this, we must examine how social media and reactionary media amplify these behaviors. Platforms like Fox News, right-wing YouTube channels, and echo chambers online constantly bombard white audiences with narratives that cast white people as victims, minorities as aggressors, and liberals as destroyers of American values. This constant stimulation fosters a paranoia and resentment. When someone says Florida has a racism problem, the response isn't analytical, it's reactionary, fueled by years of conditioning to see any racial critique as a personal and patriotic crisis. Let that sink, you need to understand that. Now, when white people also often shielded from accountability through their social and legal positioning in many communities, particularly conservative and racially homogeneous ones, racism is normalized or ignored. When white individuals express racist views, they are often not corrected or challenged, especially if the surrounding society affirms their worldview. Without regular and sincere engagement with diverse perspectives, there is little pressure or no motivation at all for self-reflection and growth. Right? That's just the truth. You also need to know that accountability requires vulnerability. Accountability requires vulnerability. I'll explain. And you know that this is difficult in a culture that equates vulnerability with weakness. Admitting that racism exists and that one benefits from it doesn't mean one is evil. But it doesn't demand humility. It requires listening. learning, and perhaps most painfully, letting go of superiority. In a culture that praises dominance, strength, and individualism, particularly among white men, this kind of introspection is rare and often discouraged. Now, the defensiveness also stems from fear of losing control over the narrative of America. Remember, racism is a foundational part of American history, and acknowledging it forces a reckoning with uncomfortable truths about founding fathers, economic systems, the national myth. For many white people, it is easier to attack the messenger than to confront the message. It is easier to call someone ungrateful or radical than admit that the system they cherish are built on exploitation and exclusion. Right? I'd like to conclude by saying that the refusal of some white individuals to take accountability for racism, particularly when they attack those who dare to speak the truth, it is a complex introspection of fragility and denial, cultural programming, and class manipulation. As long as they defend corporate system and racial hierarchies, who really don't even care about them, they will remain pawns in large game designed to divide and dominate. True accountability will only come when white people stop seeing critiques of racism as attacks and begin to recognize them as call to share humanity, justice, and transformation. Until then, the cycle of denial, anger, and misplaced allegiance will continue, harming not just black people, but the American society as a whole. I'm your host and presenter, Contextualizing. If you're watching us for the first time again, I'll ask you to subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to see what we can offer you. But until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.